Hey everyone, if you love Dragon Ball and you enjoy the content I put out here on Geekdom 101, make sure you punch that subscribe button and the bell so you don't miss out on a video every time I upload, and I thank you for your continued support. From the moment that Goku woke up from his coma recovering from the heart virus, he knew it existed, and after he met up with Vegeta, Vegeta confirmed the same thing, the Super Saiyan beyond Super Saiyan, and along the way, they hit a few roadblocks, namely with Grade 2, Grade 3, and of course Grade 4, which would be the key to unlocking the true power beyond Super Saiyan Grade 5, otherwise known as Super Saiyan 2. But what's ironic is neither of those two characters would be the first to show us this power. It would of course be Goku's son Gohan during his fight with Perfect Cell, who unleashed a frightening power and would end up being the true savior of the Earth against Cell. Let's talk more about Super Saiyan 2, my favorite transformation from the original Dragon Ball Z anime, on this edition of the Transformation Guide. After an entire arc, or actually maybe even an entire series worth of build-up, Gohan was the first one to achieve Super Saiyan 2 during the Cell games in Dragon Ball Manga Chapter 409 and Dragon Ball Z Episode 184. Now, the idea of Gohan having a dormant power is something that Toriyama had been teasing since the very beginning of the Z portion of Dragon Ball, the introduction of Gohan's character. With all the different fights Gohan had against Raditz, Vegeta, Frieza's forces, the Ginyu, Frieza himself, as well as tons of movie villains too that Toriyama did not write, but we always saw that he had potential to surpass his own father, and that's exactly what Goku realized while training with Gohan in the Room of Spirit and Time. It's almost like Goku somewhat subconsciously knew that Gohan would end up being the protector of the planet after Goku would eventually retire and or die. Now, obviously, Goku didn't know he was going to die when he was first training with Gohan, but nonetheless, he knew that at some point it would be Gohan's time to shine, and that would happen when Cell was just being a prick. He created Cell Juniors and was beating up on Gohan's friends and family, and then he steps on 16's head, which was enough to really push Gohan after 16's incredible speech to finally break his limitations and show the incredible power he really had. Now, this scene is one of the greatest scenes in the history of anime, in my opinion, and even if you're a hardcore dub fan, I know tons of hardcore dub fans who prefer the Japanese version because of the music, because of Nozawa's scream, and if you haven't seen the Japanese version of this scene, I don't know what you're waiting for. It literally is my favorite scene in all of Dragon Ball Z, and a lot of people's as well. It's incredible because of everything. But let's talk a little bit more about the transformation. So yeah, Gohan transforms into Super Saiyan 2 and ends up literally making mincemeat. Okay, not literally, but you know what I mean. Making mincemeat out of the Cell Juniors, who had just been thrown down with the likes of Trunks, Vegeta, Goku, Piccolo, guys who were very, very strong. Gohan eviscerated them. You see, the key to tapping into Super Saiyan 2 is what Goku had talked about or discussed previously. Now, if you have not seen the video I've done on Super Saiyan Grade 4, which is full power Super Saiyan, watch that video because I go into great detail there about the whole idea that Goku had, which is, getting Super Saiyan to be your natural state and then transforming upwards from there, which is what Gohan wound up being the first one to do. Now, when I called it Grade 5, I was not being, facetious here. This transformation, Super Saiyan 2, some of you might know this, some of you might not, was never referred to as Super Saiyan 2 until Goku confronted Majin Buu in the Buu saga when told him about the different transformations. Prior to that, all of the Japanese guidebooks, including the Trunks special pamphlet, referred to it as Super Saiyan Grade 5 or the Super Saiyan Beyond Super Saiyan. Super Saiyan 2 was not even thought of until the Buu saga. This was the pinnacle of Saiyan power, and what makes this transformation superior in every single way to everything before it is that it has no problems, it has no handicaps. With Trunks' transformation, he was very strong, but too slow. With Vegeta, he didn't quite hit those levels of power needed to compete with Perfect Cell. With Gohan, not only could he compete with Perfect Cell, but he straight up surpassed him by who knows how much. Perfect Cell hit him with everything, and Gohan didn't even bat an eye and wouldn't even do any damage to Gohan until he came back as Super Perfect Cell. But I'll probably be doing a more in-depth discussion on this fight in the future because there's a lot of misconceptions here. I think a lot of folks really underestimate how strong Gohan actually is during this time. But Gohan was inspired to protect the Earth from 16's passing and the speech he gave him before he died. And I would say that this was a defining moment of Gohan's character. I mean, most fans point to this as being their favorite Gohan, which you can't really hate him for because he was a complete savage in this transformation. Now, when it comes to the aesthetics of this transformation, it's definitely something different but similar. What I mean by that is with grade 2 and 3, you saw kind of the muscular increase in the bodies. And with grade 4, you saw the hair kind of go more whitish, more light toned. With this form, the hair is thinner. Gohan has a very notable bang in front of him. And the other really big defining characteristic is the lightning surrounding the character using Super Saiyan 2. Now, what's interesting about the blue lightning is that you have to understand that because it was used for this form characteristically, that meant that in other cases, there were some misconceptions from animators and people working on Dragon Ball as to whether or not to incorporate lightning. We've seen lightning in so many other versions of power-ups and forms. So as a result of that, there are times where you see a character like, for example, Gohan in Dragon Ball Z Movie 10, where you can't really tell if he's Super Saiyan 1 or 2. And there's been debates about it, on the web, because sometimes the animators would forget to do the lightning. I mean, that's just something that would happen when you're producing a weekly anime show. So even though it is rare, sometimes it would be difficult for some to figure out visually if a character was in 1 or 2. Really, it depends on how awesome they are, and they're pretty awesome, because like I said, it is my favorite form. Now, Gohan would not be the last person to tap into this form. Obviously, as the series progressed, both Goku and Vegeta were able to figure out Super Saiyan 2 during the 7-year time skip between the Cell Saga and the Buu Saga. So both of them were able to demonstrate how strong they got during the fight with Goku and Majin Vegeta. You saw how crazy strong those guys had gotten during the 7-year skip. And the reason why this is my favorite form and why it's so effective in combat is because it has no drawbacks. It's just pure speed and power, durability, endurance. When you're in this form, it really is the truly upgraded version of Super Saiyan 1. Whereas with Super Saiyan 3, there are drawbacks to using that form, which I will cover in a later video. But that being said, Super Saiyan 2 to me was the most perfect transformation in Dragon Ball Z. Now, moving past Dragon Ball Z, when we get to Dragon Ball Super, there are some new characters besides Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan to reach Super Saiyan 2. The big ones, of course, being Future Trunks, who was able to do it at some point when he went back to the future after the Cell Saga. And Caulifla did it at one time. Same thing with Kaba. We don't know for sure if Kale did it. I don't recall her doing it. She had her own thing, but those two were able to tap into Super Saiyan 2 and see how strong it got them. Now, here is a fun fact that many may not know. When it comes to Gotenks, the fusion of Goten and Trunks, we see them tap into Super Saiyan 1 and Super Saiyan 3, but did you know that in Daizenshu 7, the Dragon Ball guidebook, it does state that Gotenks is able to do SS2. So even though we never actually see Gotenks doing Super Saiyan 2, he definitely can do it. Now, obviously, to some, it's a no-brainer, but it's interesting that the guidebook actually has it listed in there, even though we never actually see it with our own eye. Now, it's interesting because Gohan's power has always been fueled from his anger. In fact, most Saiyans, when they get angry, they're able to tap into higher levels of power. But with Gohan, it's different because he went through harsh training with his father. Then at the right moment, after a motivational speech from 16 and his destruction, Gohan was able to finally crack. And you actually see it in the series. He cracked and snapped and got into this form. However, with Goku and Vegeta, they trained, and presumably nothing too, I guess, emotionally stirring happened to them during those 7 years. So it's assumed that these guys just trained up, got to grade 4, and then figured out how to go above and beyond that from there. And that's essentially how it goes for Super Saiyan 2. It's been debated by a few fans throughout the years that Vegeta was unable to get Super Saiyan 2 without the help of Babidi making him into a Majin. But if you watch my Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta Explained video, I go into explicit detail with evidence from the manga and the anime itself with undeniable proof that Vegeta was able to do that form without the help of the Majin upgrade. And I don't think I need to tell you this because most of you probably already know, but if you don't know, Super Saiyan 2 is a 2 times multiplier from the traditional Super Saiyan form, or 100 times that of base form. So you are 100 times stronger than your base form when you are in SS2. Again, my favorite transformation and my favorite scene from Dragon Ball Z, but the scene where Goku becomes Super Saiyan 3 is also great, and we'll be discussing that transformation on the next edition of the Transformation Guide. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you have not, and check out the playlist for all the transformations in Dragon Ball Z, because we got already a bunch of them there, and more to come in the future. Thanks, I'll talk to you soon.